I am Doomsvince, and this is day 365 of Spawn Year.
Dear reader, I did not like today's comic. I did not like it, Sam I Am. I would not read it on the deck. I would rather cut my neck. The panel layouts reminded me of broken glass and spider webs and occasionally coleslaw. I don't know why. Anyway, in this issue, Spawn does things and says stuff, and there's like blood, and I like microwaves and triceratops. Is riding horses on top of aircraft carriers. I wonder who came up with the word Jumbotron. Jumbotron! Oh, and there's this part where there's chains and death, and it's drawn by somebody with pencils and inks and whatever. Is Pat Sajak still doing Jeopardy? I'd like to buy a vowel. I'm sorry, your answer must be in the form of a question, but thank you for playing. God, I miss Pop-Tarts! I bet if I concentrate really hard, I can make this trading card taste like a Pop-Tart. Pop-Tarts! Oh, jeez. Comic. Review. Critique. Constructive. Objective. Subjective. Fair. Biased. Filler! Nonsense! Cliche. Trite. Disrespectable! Oh, I wouldn't read this issue again if it was the last woman on Earth. Signed, Captain Logan.
Well, Captain Logan, I applaud you for lasting to the end of Spawn Year, but seeing as your final entry is, frankly, incomprehensible nonsense, I must regretfully bury you alive in the grave no longer filled with Spawn paraphernalia per our original agreement. Enjoy the rest of your pathetic existence. Alone. Insane. And with no one to talk to. Goodbye.
I am Doomsvince. This is day 188 of Spawn Year.
Today's issue spends most of its time setting the stage for a new multi-part arc, and I welcome that, as it both seems closely related to Spawn's new feud with the alarmed and straw-grasping Hell, now that Spawn has somehow freed himself from Hell's influence, and also might shed some light, fingers crossed, on the new rules and limits of Spawn's self-fueled power. A fresh new antagonist is introduced, and I'm finding him immediately intriguing, though he did kind of seem to come out of nowhere. His name is Mark, named after the Mark of the Beast, according to a wannabe street kid named Renee who tries to get into his underground occult club, but isn't immediately deemed worthy because of her fear of pain. Mark has scars all over his arms, claims to have no fear of anything, does dark incantations, and has mastered the mystical power of persuasion, which he uses to go anywhere he wants and talk the unsuspecting wealthy out of their cash, a la Jedi mind tricks. Unlike most of our loosely designed, little planned out Spawn villains, Mark has a clear philosophy and a sense of purpose. He believes in survival of the fittest, and in no law but that of every man for himself. A subtle parallel is drawn between Mark and Spawn. Each rejects the rules and social structure his respective culture tries to impose upon him. Just as Spawn doesn't recognize Hell's or Heaven's hold on him, Mark doesn't recognize any duty to the established social order. Spawn has in the past all but given the sermon Mark preaches, but in reference to Heaven, that the established order is filled with hypocrisy and is totally dysfunctional. Both of them are anti-establishment figures who seek to create their own order their own way. And this theme was especially prevalent in genre fiction of the mid to late 90s. and both are incredibly dangerous. This guy doesn't care who gets hurt in his quest for power, and while Spawn is only killing what he thinks are evildoers, who is he to determine who the worst of the worst are, and isn't he just sending Bulgy more souls for his army anyway? And Spawn, as confident and in control as he's acting, can't fully understand the power he's wielding, so who can be sure he won't somehow be controlled or manipulated as he has been so many times before? Hogwin may be exploring that very question. At the end, Mark uses Renee as bait for Spawn. Spawn reads his mind. Oh, okay, so he can do that, but Mark controls his thoughts, so he seems fixated on the girl he has caged in the next room. Spawn falls for his trap, standing on a flaming pentagram, which gives him dark power over Spawn. Wow, finally, a smart, if not horrifying human being who's paying attention enough to know about the looming celestial battle, who the hell Spawn is, and his new and non-Hell affiliated status. Like he did when he was standing in Hell the first time, Spawn finds himself being offered some sort of deal by Mark. Neat cliffhanger, as we have to wait until next issue to see what the deal is. I like the battle of ideas forming here, and the characters embodying each opposing viewpoint. Spawn believes in a stark black and white world, good and evil, and rejects heaven and hell because they don't, either of them, really serve true good or true evil. Mark believes only in power. Good and evil are simply social constructs decided by whoever is strong enough to rule. But because Spawn is so powerful, certainly he can't realize how dangerously close his philosophy is to Mark's. After all, isn't he making himself the final barometer of right and wrong? I like where this is headed so far, and it's refreshing to have some thought-provoking ideas on the page again. One more day I've survived without going completely cuckoo for Cocoa Puffs. Signed, Captain Logan.